So, I'm back. And so far, I've seen 2 questions in the chat, so I'll start with those. And like I said, if you have any more questions, put them in the chat. I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. So the first question is, am I keto or carnivore? And I guess if I was going to describe it, I'd say I kind of jump back and forth between the two. Most of the time, I'm living a ketogenic lifestyle, which means I'm mostly eating meat, meat and vegetables every day. Some kind of vegetation. However, occasionally I do have days where I only have meat, whatever. I didn't feel like making some vegetables, feel like making a salad. And that has more to do with I just don't like to cook than anything else. And if I'm only going to make one thing, of course, I'm going to make the protein source. So, but I would consider myself a ketogenic, living a ketogenic lifestyle. The other question I got was, do I exercise? And so I do exercise, but not like in a gym. What I like to do is I like to go to, I like to ride my bike, my scooter. As I said in the video, I like being active. I like being outside, as much as we can. Like even in the winter, in the winter I snowboard, I ski. I do a lot of just stuff. I also like to build things. I also find that fun. So just things that pretty much keep me moving and doing stuff. So that's how I really manage my exercise. Let's see what else is coming in. Let's see. Any other questions? So someone mentioning how overcoming physical and mental addiction is a challenge. And I do feel like we can't even overcome it until we become aware that it's a thing. So I think one of the number one reasons that most people struggle with getting their food under control is like myself. They don't even know that they're addicted to carbohydrates. They don't even know that carbohydrates has an effect on their brain, effect on their body, so that when they don't eat it, their body is actually pushing them to eat. Like, I didn't know that. So had I known that years ago, obviously things could have looked very different for me. And that's just with regard to weight. I saw in the comments, Singit mentioned some operations that she had. And, it's like we waste our time, but also we subject our bodies to unnecessary negatives that don't need to be there just because we don't know that eating carbohydrates is causing these physical health problems that we're having. So I do think that's another big reason that a lot of people have unnecessary operations. Let's see if we have any other. So do I drink coffee, and is caffeine good on keto or best limited? The reason that I would limit caffeine, it has nothing to do with keto. Caffeine also can be addictive. There's a lot of people who, when they don't have their coffee, get headaches. And I do notice that if I skip my morning coffee, I can sometimes have a bit of a hard day. So I did limit, I used to have 2 coffees a day. Now I'm only having 1 because I did notice that. You need to be careful. Obviously, anything that has addictive properties like caffeine can cause problems for us. But coffee itself, as far as I understand, if you use it in moderation, in small amounts, it's not something that has a negative impact on us from what I know. Now, if anybody has any information about that, you can put it in the comments if there's another reason that we'd want to keep our caffeine low. Let me see what else we have here. So I'm not really seeing any more questions, guys. Do you have any more questions? Oh, how old is your daughter now? And what's her eating habits? So my daughter is not on keto, first of all. And I've said this multiple times in the videos. My daughter never liked sweet things. From 0 to 4, she wasn't given any candy or anything like that. But I wasn't opposed to her having ice cream, or I wasn't opposed to her having milk and things like this. What I didn't want her having was candy, like straight candy. So between the age of 0 and 4, she didn't have candy. What I did notice is she didn't like anything sweet. She didn't like fruit. But she loved vegetables. She didn't like the cereals that we were buying, because I was buying any cereal that said it was whole grain, da-da-da. She never wanted the sweet ones. She always wanted the Weetabix and all the bland, plain Cheerios. Like really, my daughter had leaned towards bland up until around 6 years old. That was the first time that she actually ate her birthday cake. And moving forward from that point forward, she started to allow more sweet things into her life. If I would have known what pushing those sweet things on her was doing, I wouldn't have done it. So fast forward to, she's now 16, going on 17 in January. So when she learned, as when I learned about keto, or the damage that sugar was doing, she was 13 years old. And what I will say is this: my daughter and Patrick's boys, since we've learned what sugar is doing in our body, all 3 children have made adjustments, one less than the other 2, but like my daughter and one of his sons have really made huge adjustments to their sugar intake. It's still high for what we would want it to be, but it's much lower than it was. And so we try to keep that in consideration, that they're not constantly eating snacks and junk food and all the time. They still have junk food, so I'm not going to pretend they don't. They both still, all 3 of them, still eat chips and sometimes cookies, but it's much less than it used to be. So let's see. Can I put a link to the video on how you started keto journey back up? I'm trying to think which video you're asking me about, Deborah. I will double check and see if there's a video of mine that got taken down. They should all be there. I never remove any of my videos, but I will double check. Thank you very much or maybe it's just that you want a specific link. I can, later on, I can maybe link a few videos that were specific to keto, maybe in the description or something. Or maybe it's because my video where I first talked about it was a live stream as well. So that might be it. You might be looking for a live stream. But I think you should be able to see them on my channel, though. Is decaf coffee okay? Same like I said with regular coffee. I think coffee's fine as long as you're not overdoing any. Like, honestly, I think one of the things that's interesting is in life, we really want to be careful when we start overdoing stuff. When we find ourselves incapable of not having something, if I can't get through my day without having coffee, and I've eaten other things, drank other things, and I just have to have my coffee, then I start to know there's an addiction there. And sometimes the addiction doesn't necessarily have to be the caffeine. Like maybe there are other things that you're putting in your coffee that taste sweet or that are just evoking other parts of your emotional addiction, and that's causing you to want to have the substance. But if you're able to have a decaf coffee once in a blue moon and you just like decaf coffee, from what I know, there's nothing dangerous about having coffee or decaf coffee. Again, if somebody has a different understanding or experience of it, you can put it in the chat. I do not use, so the question is, do you use artificial sweeteners? Wendy, I do not use any artificial sweeteners. I used to. So at the beginning of my journey, before I understood the psychological part of this, before I even understood it was an addiction, I did all the typical things. I tried to replace the cookies with these healthier cookies and all the things. And as I went along the process and started to learn so I knew I was trying to take sugar out of my life. I think it was a real eye-opener when you start to see really where is the sugar. So, for example, the fact that there is sugar in almonds, and if I make cookies using almond flour, well then now the amount of sugar in that cookie, can I really eat So one cookie maybe I can have. If I have 2 or 3, I can't eat anything else for the day. I feel like sometimes we don't let ourselves understand like truly, truly what we're trying to accomplish. If we are too focused on weight, we miss the picture. We don't get it right. This is not a weight only scenario. This is a how do I solve it so that I'm healthy forever scenario. And once we start really looking at that, things start to change. So for me, when I realized, first of all, that these sweeteners, so first of all, that sugar was causing the problem and that it was more than just about the inflammation I was living. It caused my weight gain. It caused like so many problems in my life. But then you add to that sweet taste still had a physiological effect on my body. So in my mouth, the sweet taste had a physiological effect on my body before anything even got to my internals. And it was negative. So what that means is that as soon as my mouth tastes sweet, my body starts acting like if sugar is coming. Even if no sugar is coming, that's not good for us. Because once it puts some sugar away in preparation for the incoming sugar and none comes, it's going to push you to want to get more food, right? And so we end up in this cycle that's not healthy. I really think that one of the things that helped me the most was getting artificial sweeteners out. And I think I did that relatively early. I think I maybe did that in my month number 3 or 4, only because, it wasn't about weight loss for me. You have to remember that. But what I did notice is that when I had a diet soda, anywhere during my day, so in between my meal, I was like dying when it was like a few minutes later. And it took me twice, I think, to figure out that it was the diet soda that was doing it. So now I'm saying all of that. I haven't even touched the fact that these artificial sweeteners tend to be unhealthy. Right? There's a lot of evidence showing that they're carcinogenic, which is a whole other reason that we shouldn't even be using them. But I'm not going to lie, I still drink diet soda every once in a while with a meal. So I guess I do have artificial sweeteners, actually, now I think about it. So, but I don't put any artificial sweeteners in my coffee or in any food that I make. But if I buy a diet soda, then yes, technically I'm still having artificial sweeteners. Just remember that. Any other questions? You're trying to understand fruit and keto. Are all fruit off on a keto diet? So I eat olives and avocado. And as the commenter pointed out to me the other day, it's like, those are fruits, Violet. And it's true, those are fruits. So I eat olives and avocados. I don't eat any sweet tasting fruit. Again, there's a psychological element that's going to get me chasing, and I understand that. But the other reason I don't eat sweet tasting fruits especially is that the higher sweetness it has, the more fructose is in it. And the more fructose is in it, the more damage it can do to your liver. So after living 20 some odd years, no, that's not even true, 40 some odd years damaging my body, not knowing, because I was eating all that sugar, because I've been eating sugar since I was 6 months old, because rice is a staple of a Caribbean diet. So I know I've been eating sugar since 6 months old. I've got a lot of cleanup to do. And there's no space for my liver to be messing around with fructose. I want my body to be in a position where it can focus on cleaning up the things that are going to help me to move forward rather than fighting off something I don't need to be eating. So for me, there's zero place in my lifestyle for fruit, for sweet tasting fruit, because those ones tend to have more fructose. I'm very careful still with avocado and olives. I do eat them, but I don't like go crazy with them either. Like sometimes when I get home and I'm a little bit hungry, I might feel a little snacky, but I'm still not going to have any olives or avocado. I'm going to wait for my meal to be done. I'm just going to have my meal. So if I have avocado, it's part of my meal. If I have olives, it's part of my meal. Do I ever eat processed meats? Yes, I do. Not often. Like the last time, and that was really a long time ago, but the last time we had processed meats, it was because we were traveling for vacation. So you're talking like more than a year and a half, or more than 2 years ago, actually, was the last time we had a vacation. And we were traveling for our vacation. And we had bought some processed meats for Pat and I to have as a snack on the way because we couldn't have the snacks the children were having. So that was, I'm not opposed to processed meats, but I don't make them a staple either. Obviously, I'd rather cook something healthy and know exactly what I put in it than have a processed meat that could have extra sugars in it as a preservative. And I wouldn't necessarily know because they called it some fancy name. So for me, it's just safer. Oh, but I think one processed meat that I still have regularly, though, I just realized is, what do you call those, for pepperoni? When I'm making pizza at home, I still have pepperoni. So that's one place where I would have a processed meat. Like more regularly, like I would say probably that I have once a month. And the ones that we buy, when the list of ingredients don't have any words that I don't understand. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. Dana Capers, thank you for, I think it's a super sticker. I really appreciate that. I've never gotten one of those before. So thank you very much. Do you have a question? There's no question attached to it. Well, I just want to say thank you very much, Dana. I'm going to see if there's any questions that I missed. Oh, hi, Tammy. I didn't see you in here. I can't do stevia or other types of alternative sweet. It triggers me. Yeah, as I was saying too, like I do find when I try to eat any kind of sweet anything, I could end up chasing. Something as simple as the other day we were talking and I think I mentioned on videos as well. If I eat nuts that I can taste the sweetness of, like I'm chasing them. I can do okay if I have some nuts like walnuts or pecans because I don't taste the sweet in those. But peanuts, what do you call those? Cashews. Oh, I can't. I've just put those down. I can't even do it. Let's see. Does your healthy fiber come from certain veggies? Does my healthy fiber come? So I would say I don't necessarily try to get healthy fiber. That's one thing I would say. What I do is because I eat enough meat / fat that I know I'm going to go to the washroom. And if I needed to go for some reason, if I got constipated, I would more go towards magnesium than I would go towards trying to eat fiber because the amount of fiber that I would need to eat in order to have myself be going to the washroom, I would go over my carb count. So it's one of those things where is it worth like how much so vegetables you'd have to eat to get the result you're trying to get. So, but even with all that said, what I will also add is that what I do is I eat vegetables that are low in carb, but are still like good in fiber anyway. So my favorites, broccoli, cabbage. Yeah, those are my two favorites. Like if you ask me what I would eat most of the time. Those are my two. I love romaine lettuce just because I like Caesar salads. Now we do eat other vegetables like cauliflower. We do eat asparagus. So, but my go-to, cabbage and broccoli, do have high fiber. So I do feel like when we're trying our best to get healthy foods in us, we're much more likely to find foods that are going to fall in line with our lifestyle and be healthy. But it's more when we're trying to accomplish eating fun things that we get into trouble, right? But I don't necessarily believe that there's a vegetable out there that you can't have some of, but it's going to depend on how you react to it. So I would never say, you can never have potatoes. I don't know. Some people might be able to have like one little wedge of potato and be satisfied. My problem is that I wouldn't be satisfied. So then I would probably eat too much of it. I don't know if I'm answering that question well. I hope so. So what do I know about keto and fatty liver disease? So what I do know is that living a ketogenic lifestyle absolutely helps with cleaning up your liver, because in the end, what you end up doing is eating healthy foods. And as long as your fatty liver disease is not caused by alcohol, because keto cannot help you in that situation. If you're smoking or doing any drug that's attacking your liver, because obviously your liver is the cleanup center of the body, liver and kidneys. So if you're doing anything like any drug, alcohol that is causing liver damage, keto is not going to help that, right? And it doesn't matter what you do, like that's not going to change the situation. But what can be helpful is if you're eating and if your fatty liver disease is being caused, usually when it's non-alcoholic, it's being caused by eating too much fruit or high fructose corn syrup stuff. And so like as soon as we start living a ketogenic lifestyle, well, the syrups and the cookies and the cakes and the mangoes and the bananas and the apples, like all of these things go away because they don't fit into the lifestyle. So on some level, just allowing my body to have good quality nutrients, good quality building blocks and energy, then means that it's not 24/7 trying to clean up the negative foods that I'm eating. Of course, that means that I'm going to have a healthier liver eventually. But that takes time. That's the other piece of the puzzle. A lot of us, like when we start to eat properly, so we eat a ketogenic lifestyle, we notice that our midsection shrinks, but it's not necessarily shrinking overnight too. Like it takes time to make sure that you're back to square one. Most doctors and scientists think it's anywhere between 7 and 10 years, right? So my 1,000 days of not eating any processed sugar, I'm 3 years into this process of getting to my 7 years. And I'm really looking forward to see what that's going to feel like. Let's see. Hi guys, missed a question. Sorry. How do you maintain your weight without going below your ideal weight? So Beverly, one of the things that I figured out is that it's relatively surprisingly easy to stay stable. All I need to do is, for me anyways, what I need to do is add 2 tablespoons of fat to my day and 2 tablespoons of heavy cream to my day. So that combination for me, I've been stable, no problem. And then I just eat a normal meal. I do 1 meal a day, but that's not to stay stable. That's me being lazy. Again, I don't like to cook. So 1 meal a day. And honestly, I've so gotten used to it that like even at this point, normally I would have had my coffee by this point, but because I was preparing for this live, I'm like, I haven't had anything since last night. Like yesterday around 7. So I'm till right now, haven't had anything. So that's probably 7 till now. We're good. Like, yeah, I don't necessarily chase food. I eat when I'm hungry. Now, because my brain was all like, oh, I got to get this stuff done. I didn't even have that momentary whatever this morning of, okay, go get your coffee, Violet. So yeah, I would say that for every person, you're going to have to look at how much fat do I need to add back to my day if I wanted to stop losing. Theoretically, I didn't have to do that. I also could have just kept eating normally, allowed my body to settle at whatever weight it was going to settle at, which probably would mean instead of having 2 extra tablespoons of fat each day, I probably would just have the cream, because I would just have my coffee with cream and that's it. And I wouldn't have the extra fat anywhere in my day. I would still cook the same way that I cook, because the energy that I do use on my day-to-day is coming from the fat. But I don't add extra fat to any recipes. If something calls for being fried, I fry it. If something calls for being grilled, I grill it. If something, if calls for being baked, I bake it. So I don't necessarily add any fat to a meal. unless for some reason it would have got dried out, but I don't usually overcook my stuff as I don't want to be in the kitchen twice. So I hope that answers the question. Can artificial sweeteners damage your liver and stop someone from being in ketosis? I would have to, this is total speculation, not a doctor, but I would have to speculate that they could damage your liver because scientists are saying they're carcinogenic. And if we ingest anything carcinogenic, our liver is what cleans it up. So my guess would be yes. Now, would it stop me from being in ketosis? I don't believe it would stop me from being in ketosis per se, if everything else I'm doing is correct. But the bigger problem is, is that really my biggest concern if my liver's damaged, right? At that point, being in ketosis is not good. I want everyone to understand something. If we ever get to the moment where we're sick, truly sick, we are not going to care how much we weigh. We're not going to care about being in ketosis. All we're going to care about is that we're sick. So the bigger question is, if you're worried about artificial sweeteners, which I'm kind of worried. I'm not worried enough that I've stopped drinking soda altogether, but I'm worried enough that I don't drink near as much diet soda as I used to. That diminished really a lot. It could still be better, but it diminished a lot. And even the water that I drink now, it's either straight water or simply carbonated with no artificial flavors or taste added to it. Because, I'm starting to really try to focus on that. At the end of the day, though, what I want you to think about is that if you're concerned about artificial sweeteners, then creating a situation for yourself where you're not adding artificial sweeteners is better for you. I don't think it's going to mess with the ketosis, though, but I could be wrong. If some doctor is listening and knows the answer to that, I'd love to know. So I missed a question, apparently. Pat's trying to let me know. I wish I could see the question. So you're right, Pat, we do need a better way of doing this. If you have a chance did you send me it in a text? Some comments. Do you do teleappointment, one session by phone? If so, where could I get the information? Mariana, you want to know if I do telephone appointments? That's something that I've been playing with as an idea. If you want to send me an email, you can go to my YouTube channel and you can send me an email that way. Let's see. So I don't know about, so Pat didn't tell me there was another question that I missed. I'm just going to keep going to see. Someone said they want to learn how to stop cravings. I learned something way back in university that my psychology professor said, we are only ever addicted to things that we've come in contact with. So if I want to stop my cravings, I need to let myself not be in contact with the thing I'm craving. So what are we usually craving? Well, we're usually craving sugar. And then the question is, well, where do we find sugar? This is the part that a lot of people have a hard time with, because I really need to be honest with myself and sit down and look at how would I know how much sugar I'm actually ingesting. And the only way to truly know how much I'm ingesting is to weigh my food and then track my food. And if I weigh and track everything I eat today, then I'm going to know if I'm going over 20 grams of carb. That's part one, because eating more than 20 grams of carb every day is what causes problems for most people. So Dr. Westman let us know that in his experience, 90% of people, 20 net, no, sorry, for him it's 20 total, 20 total, they're in ketosis. What about those other 10%? You might need 15. You might need 10. Why are we trying to get into ketosis in this sense? Because that's what helps us to let go of those cravings. If my body is only getting an amount of carbohydrate that it actually can use efficiently for its daily processes, it doesn't need to store it away, then I'm not getting pulled into that loop of being in a carb craving scenario. The other part of this is that if I'm only getting the amount of sugar that's under 20 grams of carbs, then all those processes that happen in the brain that cause dopamine and all these, they're triggered by larger amounts of sugar. So if I eat a normal amount of sugar, my brain is going to have a normal amount of response. I'm going to have a normal amount of dopamine, a normal amount of serotonin, and all the other chemicals in the brain. If it's a normal amount, then I'm not going to be chasing and craving it because I'm not addicted at that point. It's when we push our brain to have levels and push our body to have levels of things that are outside the norm that we get into trouble. So I hope that's making sense. Let's see. What else do we have? Monk fruit. I think one of the things... Hi, Gabriel. I want to say hello to that little person. I think one of the things that we want to make sure that we talk about is the fact that monk fruit is an artificial sweetener. It's not an artificial sweetener. It's a sweetener. And the only reason that I don't say, oh, use monk fruit is the same reason I don't say use stevia. It's still going to keep you on this treadmill of wanting sweet things. And if my mouth is following and chasing sweet things, then avocado doesn't taste great. Then broccoli doesn't taste great. Then all these normal things that I could be eating and ideally would be eating to help my health, like a nice salad or some arugula or some spinach or some kale or some, like all these healthy vegetables. Like I'm going to still be leaning towards the peppers and the butternut squash and all the sweeter tasting things because I'm still allowing artificial sweeteners or even healthy sweeteners, but they're still sweet, right? And I'm keeping my mouth in that space where that's what it's looking for. So I just really want everyone to consider that this world of sweet that we've been living in is not the healthy place that our ancestors were living in. Like back in 1900, back in 1800, we weren't having this much sweet available to us all the time. And certainly not back in 1500, right? There's something unfortunate happening here that we really need to allow ourselves to move away from. Let me just see what else I have here. If I could only eat 3 things for the next 30 days, what would they be? Who asked me that question? TM. Okay. They would be pork chop, chicken, and eggs. I'm assuming you're going to let me drink water. The reason that it would be pork chop, chicken, and eggs is because those protein sources give me enough variety that I'm not going to be bored, but it gives me enough energy that I'm able to do anything I want to do in my day. And so I'm just going to live a carnivore 30 days. Now, there's no vegetables on that list. And the reason there isn't is because I don't need vegetables. My body makes all the carbohydrates that I need. But what I need is protein and fat. And so the eggs help balance it out. Make sure I'm getting, and eggs have almost everything that we need. Eggs are an amazing food. And if I could only have one thing for 30 days, I'd be eating eggs. But since you gave me 3, I'm going to take pork chop and chicken as well. And I also like chicken. I like pork. So, and you know what? In reality, that doesn't change my life very much for the number of days that I just choose not to put any vegetables on my plate. Let's see what else we have here. Let's see. Sugars in almost everything. It seems difficult to avoid all sugars. Am I wrong? You're not wrong. There is even sugar in meat. So, and we don't talk about it much because it's like such a small percentage, but there's sugar in everything, and that's reality. So if I'm putting things on my plate, it's not about avoiding as much as it is making great choices. Well, first of all, there's always meat on my plate. Meat, eggs, fish. There's always one of those on my plate. Then it's what do I put beside? So as I said, sometimes I put nothing. Or if I'm going to put any vegetable, it's going to be low glycemic. So cabbage. And I say cabbage a lot. I just love cabbage. I'll be honest with you. You can do so many things with cabbage. Cauliflower. I mean, Pat does a lot of great stuff with cauliflower. Broccoli, easy to cook. So those are and asparagus, also easy to cook. So, those are my 4 go-tos, like in a pinch. I would also say that salad is my next go-to. So if I'm not having some kind of vegetable on the side and I want something on the side, I'm very likely to go salad because easy, right? Don't have to cook it, just have to wash it off and put some dressings on it. And always a full fat dressing. What I want you to kind of think about in all of this is that if I'm looking for healthy, then it's not hard to figure out what to put on my plate. And I will be the first one to tell you, back in the days when I was doing standard Caribbean diet, my side dish was rice, pasta, or French fries. Did I have a salad once in a blue moon? Sure. Did I have some vegetables once in a blue moon? Sure. But I was having rice, pasta, or French fries. So I have a hard time sometimes, and it's not even just myself. I know a lot of people that when you really stop them and say, okay, what'd you make for supper Monday, Tuesday, and you go through the week, their side dishes are not varying that much. We get scared when we're presented with the idea of keto because what am I going to eat? But the truth is, when you truly, truly look at what you've been eating in the last month, your side dishes were not varying that much unless you went out to a restaurant. And even when we go to a restaurant, a lot of the times the side dish is French fries. So I just want us to think about that because I don't believe that we really allow ourselves to see that this chasing variety when there's a diet in front of us keeps us in a bad place compared to like when we actually would want to do a good, healthy, like meal at home. And like just focus on bringing our body to a better place, all of a sudden, like that takes a different meaning to it. And what I end up cooking is going to be very different. So sugar is in almost everything. And at the same time, I've figured out a way to do 20 grams of carbs or less every day for the last 1,000 days. And so can you. You just have to put your mind to it and choose vegetables that you like. I can't tell you how important it is. Like you hear me, I keep saying the same ones. Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and asparagus. Those are the ones I actually like. Like, are there other vegetables? Like, does Pat sometimes put other things on my plate? Sure he does. But the truth of the matter is, if I taste it and I don't like it, I'm not going to eat it. Right? I'm going to go for my staples that I know are good for me. And if he puts one in front of me that tastes great, but it's high in carb, I'm still not going to eat it. Like we've decided, and he doesn't do that to me, by the way, but we've decided that it's much better for us to get fun outside, to get fun with our friends, to get fun by making videos even. Like I am building a scooter right now, electric, like kick scooter conversion for fun because I don't look at my food that way. My food is not for fun. So you need to figure out like, what am I going to do to entertain myself and then leave the food to be the thing I do to build and fuel. What is the preferred fat that I add to my coffee? I don't know how far behind I am. Okay, I'm not that bad. The preferred fat that I add to my coffee is, I have like 3 that I kind of do. Coconut oil, ghee, and butter. And, oh, no, there's a 4th one. Cacao, like fat. So usually coconut oil is there because I want to get all the health benefits of coconut oil. The linoleic acid and all the things that are in coconut oil. There's a lot of things in coconut oil. So it's usually 1 tablespoon coconut oil and then 1 tablespoon of the other 3. So sometimes it's butter, sometimes it's ghee, sometimes it's cocoa fat. I had an air fryer and it was one of my favorite things. And then it broke and I don't have one anymore, and I'm actually looking to replace it. And what I liked about the air fryer is, and this is something that I think most people think, that air frying is going to give you less fat. But actually what I did love about my air fryer is that whatever fat is on the meat, when you fry this way, it keeps the fat. So actually I found with the air fryer that I had, and it was a very nice one, it had the best taste afterwards because all the fat that would normally drip out of the meat was still there. It was delicious. Delicious. The best pork chops I think I've ever had in my life in my air fryer. So I do plan to get another one. Let's see. I'm not sure if there's another question. Coffee with cream, artificial sweeteners. That is what I added to my heavy cream. Keto changed my life. I only needed to lose 25 pounds when I started 2 years ago. But the other benefits are why I keep at it. High five. That's great. And it's exactly the reason we should all be keeping at it. Because, like, losing weight is an indication that your body's doing better. It shouldn't be just the goal that we have. Like, if my body, and I've said this so many times, a healthy body regulates its weight. And it's able to regulate its weight because it's not fighting disease of some kind, which is what sugar is causing in there. We're so focused on losing the weight. We don't realize that the sugar is in there breaking things and causing issues and cancers and all kinds of things. And it's much more important for us to kind of move our mind past weight, get ourselves healthy, and then we're going to be able to go on and have the weight that we want. Someone, CG of London said, I like those words, easy to cook. I love those words, not even just like them. Let's see, what else? So I feel like I'm at the end of the questions. I feel like I'm at the end of the questions. Okay, so it looks to me like there are no more questions. So Sharon says, actually, the Pampered Chef, or if you have a friend, so the best air fryer is the Pampered Chef. Never heard of that company, but I can look it up. Okay, so this was fun. I have to admit I was nervous at the beginning, but I feel like this went really well. I don't see any more questions. So since I don't see any more questions, I'm going to say goodbye because I need to get ready for work. I love making these videos for you guys, and this was fun, and I'm going to do it again. Talk to you guys in a week.